So Terry, welcome to the picnic.
Thanks for having me.
Very much without any food, but it's fine. We've got our drinks.
That's right.
And we've got ourselves, which is the important thing.
That is, at this point.
So, tell me a little bit about your show, because is this your first appearance at the Fringe ever?
Yes, it is.
So it's like, because some people it's like their first hour maybe, they've done bits and bobs, but you haven't been up here.
Never.
So you've never been to the Fringe?
Never been to the Fringe.
How are you finding that as an experience?
I'm finding it interesting. Mm-hmm. Finding it very interesting. I'm trying to get my kind of crowd to come out, which I'm finding tricky.
Yeah.
Considering nobody knows who the hell I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Can't necessarily blame people. But yeah, I'm finding that tricky. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, Edinburgh's beautiful. So what are you gonna? Can't complain too hard. You know what I mean?
So your show is surrealism, and it's sort of, is it taking it to the extreme?
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think that's the big warning I want to get out there, is that, because a lot of people don't know this, there's a lot of like swearing, and I mix like highbrow and lowbrow stuff a lot. So there's dirty stuff in it, and there's like horror stuff in it, and there's some kids stuff in it. But that's the thing, is I'm getting audiences that are thinking I got a lot of pretty colors on my poster, so they're thinking it's a kid's show, I think. And I'm up there singing dirty songs, and it's vexing.
So is it just that you want to do as many things as possible? Is that the reason why it's kind of quite varied in that way?
I just want to perform the stuff that I've written that I like, and my muse, whatever it is, my brain, whatever it is that pumps out this stuff, it doesn't seem to have a preference. So, one day I'll write a horror thing, one day I'll write a comedy thing, one day I might write something kind of serious, and I just kind of, when I was putting together the show, I just wanted to put together all the stuff that I personally thought was interesting, that I like. Mm-hmm. And that I performed enough times that other people have liked too. So I don't, I'm not a complete delusional maniac. But yeah, that's what it is. That's why it's such a mix of things. It's just, that's the way I do it. I wish I could focus on one vein or genre of something, but having a multi-genre act that's a tricky sell.
How important is it might be an odd question, is the comedy, or is it more, would you like to view it more as performance art?
It's still comedy, I think, because back in Canada I perform pretty much exclusively in comedy clubs. And so even when I'm saying I'm doing horror stuff, there's usually some kind of comic twist in it or something. There's still some kind of comedy usually in there. Very rarely is it just completely straight something else.
Would you disregard something if you thought you had something good but it wasn't funny wasn't part of it? Would that matter?
No. If I think it was really, but that's the funny part, is that everything seems to have a little bit of humor in it. Like, I'm trying to think in my head what I'm doing that doesn't even, it all has some kind of comic twist, but the horror stuff in particular it's pretty gruesome. But I'd love to film actually some of these things, because it'd be horrific. But yeah, there still is a comic twist to a lot of it, but it's just because I've grown up playing comedy clubs. All my friends are comedians, like stand-up comedians, and so I've kind of grown up playing with stand-up comics. So I've taken, I guess, some of their comic mechanisms. Like, I'll still do a setup and a punchline. It's just that it might be acted out a little bit differently than the way a stand-up would do it.
There might be more stuff surrounding it, perhaps.
Right, it might end up being a circumstance. I might create a circumstance or something or situation, say, in the room, and that becomes the setup, and then resolve it with some kind of weird punchline. That type of thing, which is a little different than using just, words, which is great. You can try. It's a lot easier to travel with just words,
Yeah. So you were saying that you're viewing this as kind of building up your audience and finding your audience, and is this maybe the start of quite a lengthy process, maybe, in finding that group of people that like what you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long haul. I mean, in Canada, there's a lot of like underground rooms and places like that I can play. But so this is a very mainstream type festival, and there's also, I know that there is an undercurrent of the the weird people here too. So I'm trying to get to them, but it's a struggle. It's hard to get in because there's not a lot of, you don't get a lot of exposure in the mainstream if you're different.
So you, as a newcomer to the Fringe, do you kind of see it as a very mainstream festival? That's the image that's portrayed, at least.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, the attitudes of audiences, that's that's what I've seen so far. However, I mean, some of the acts that I've talked to and seen their stuff, I know that there is that also that other here as well. So that's the thing I'm trying to latch onto, is to get about those others. You know, the others, come, please. That's
And they're out there. They
I
definitely
know they are. They are there. But I've had like a couple shows where they came, and you know, it's beautiful. It's like I could cry at the end. And then that, you know, last night, for instance, I had a group of people that just, you know, I think I scared the living hell out of me. And I could cry there too, because I'm not in this to offend anybody. You know.
So, what made you come to the Fringe this year? Did it feel like the right time? Or
Well, I have obsessive compulsive disorder, so traveling is extremely difficult for me. And so I was first coming over to London, England, I think in like 2007, 2008, and I probably would have continued that ball rolling because I'd gone there a few times. I probably would have come here before now. But at a certain point, my OCD got to a level where I was just like, I can't travel anymore. So I just stayed in Canada, and I played shows where my wife could come with me and basically, you know, babysit me. It's horrendous, but yeah. And then slowly but surely, I've worked my way up to being able to do it.
So it's got to the point now where it's better, and I assume it goes up and down.
Oh
and
yeah, it's all over the place. But it's, you know, I'm not bipolar, so I don't complain too much. And I have my OCD isn't as extreme as some people I know. You know, I'm pretty lucky. Even when it was at its worst, I was still functional. I just didn't. Traveling was a major difficulty.
Yeah. What specifically does your OCD address? Is it routine? Is it?
Yeah, that's it. Because everybody's a bit different with OCD. With me, I'll get the thing where you'll have, like, say, it's not a voice, but it's like a thought, a persistent thought in your head that might tell you that you're terrible, you're a horrible human being or whatever. So you get that one thought, and then you have to counteract it with a second thought to basically tell it off, and then do whatever you're still doing. So there would be times where I could be having this conversation with you, and I've got one thought telling me I'm a terrible human being, another thought telling it to get out of here, and I'm still functioning and doing it.
So there's not actual physical things that you have to do. It's
I've had that at times. I had to tap stuff a certain amount of times, which is, and the thing about OCD is you're completely aware of this, of how, you know, you're like, but you know what it'll do? It says, I might say to myself, okay, if I don't touch this table 3 times, my wife will get some horrible disease. That's what my thoughts would do to me. So I can't even take the chance of not doing it, because if it was saying, well, if I don't touch the table 3 times, I'll get the disease, maybe I'd take the chance. But it's telling me it's going to be someone else, so no one's looking 3 times.
Yeah.
But that part's gone. It's weird how, I guess, your brain works. That part doesn't. Germ phobia a little bit, but I still will shake people's hands, and I'm not that far gone.
It is a strange one, because you can look at a group of people who are completely different, but they've all still got OCD. It's quite. I mean, I suppose a lot of mental disorders are like that, for want of a better word. But yes, I think particularly with OCD, you get all shades of the rainbow with it. Yeah.
It's funny though how the human brain malfunctions in surprisingly similar ways though. Like when I was getting diagnosed, I had to fill out a questionnaire, and one of the questions on it was, have you ever run over a bump in the road and then had to go back to check to make sure you didn't hit somebody? And I was doing that all the time, and I thought I was the only person doing this. And this apparently is a fairly common. It's like it builds. OCD is also, it seems to build up empathy. Like I have maybe way more empathy for other people than I probably should. Like my heart breaks when I see homeless people or anything like that. It's, you know, so it's like if I hit a bump, I'd have to go back, because if I'd hit somebody and left them there, it's not even about the idea of them. It's like, it becomes me. It's like I'll feel guilty if I let somebody go like that.
Was the diagnosis helpful for you?
Yeah, well then I knew what I had. It wasn't. It was no longer a question of what it was. There it is, and that's what it was.
It wasn't pathologizing, or it fix you into a box and you think, oh no, I'm a slave to this now.
Yeah, no.
It was more liberating.
Yeah, I knew what it was, so then that helps a ton, you know.
Sorry for the in-depth
No,
conversation.
hey, I've never ever, you know, this is the first conversation I've had about OCD in an interview ever. So none of this is prearranged gibber.
Tell me what your show is, when it is.
My show is a psychedelic freak out that happens at 8:05 every day at the Iron Belly venue in Cowgate, Underbelly Cowgate. and it's if you like swearing and sex jokes and horror stories and just overall freaked out psychedelia, then it's perfectly for you. And if you don't, then there's so many other shows to go see, and I could suggest a bunch. But there you go.
That's brilliant. Shall I shake your hand?
Sure, you can.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was excellent.